Hello and welcome to the second vlog of the month, the 3 book one. I originally was gonna do this one first, but I don't know why I decided to do it second, but here we are now. And yeah, it's gonna be time. I am recording this before I plan to read. I plan to start actually reading for it tomorrow, but I know I'll have time now, and I don't know if I'll have time before I start a book tomorrow, so, that's why we're doing it like this. The premise of this vlog is that I went to H, whose links are now forever in my description, because I mention her in almost every single vlog or video. But basically the premise of this was that I was originally planning to do a random generator, number generator probably, and go through like the list of books I have, right? But then I was like, what if I just let H choose 3 random books out of the blue? They don't even have to be on my TBR. Only one of them was. And yeah, I'm gonna start with the one that I'm gonna read last. I'm gonna do backwards order of when I'm gonna read them when I talk about them right now, okay? So the things we got over or something like that, that's, I don't know, you can see the cover. It's a contemporary romance, over 500 pages. I know H read it last month, really enjoyed it, and kept on telling me to read it, and so this is basically a way to get me to read it, right? I don't know much about it. It was mentioned that the comedy would be my type of thing, and I think the main character goes to visit her sister or something and ends up having to take care of her niece or nephew, and romance. I don't know anything, okay? Yeah, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, so that's how I plan to read it, right? The second book I'm going to read is Break. I had it written down on a sticky note who the author was for when I filmed my TBR, but I threw it away, so I don't know who the author is, but it's up on screen. This one's shorter, it's under 300 pages, and this is what I expected the whole entire general theme of all of them to be, which was books that I would have never heard of before now, right? Like, going through H's TBR or read books in order to plan our buddy reads for the whole entire year was just me seeing all these books that I've never heard of before and just being like, I don't know. And a lot of them are shorter, very weird, very obscure type of stuff. And yeah, that's very much what this is. This is a thing that I wouldn't even know about without H. So like, I wouldn't have picked up without H, right? And it is a book about someone who self-harms by breaking bones on purpose. And that's about all I know about it. And yeah. The H did mention earlier today that it's like really fast to read, and I think she rated it 5 stars. So like, I could do it. I can do it in like one day. So there's that one. And then the one that I'm gonna start tomorrow is Unleashed, which is the one I own because I got it for free off of Amazon. And it is a shifter romance. And I know the author's name is Bella Jacobs. The reason why I want to read it now is because I just read for my weekend reading vlog, Eclipse, which have the characters Bella and Jacob, and the author of this one is Bella Jacobs, and it's a werewolf shifter romance. I think I remember H mentioning there being bears or other type of shifters later on in the like series or something, because it's like a trilogy, right? And I remember when we started hanging out was when H finished the trilogy. But like, the cover is wolves, so I'm gonna go with it's a wolf shifter romance. It's like 300-ish pages. Listen, I'm not expecting this to be the greatest thing ever, even if H did enjoy it. I'm just expecting a dumb read and having a good time. And yeah. But yeah, that's the one I'm gonna start tomorrow and whatnot. I don't know when I'm gonna update you. I don't know when anything's happening, and all that stuff. And I'm gonna stop talking because, and hear me out, I'm trying to do better about not rambling about books for 10 to 20 minutes each. Alright, it's been a bit. I have things to say. First of which, ignore the flare from the windows and also the sounds of the dog sleeping in my bed right there. So yeah, also I don't think you can see the rash because I think my strap and my hair cover it up, but the dog gave me a rash on my collarbone, so like ignore it if you see it. It's just a thing in my life right now that I'm trying to ignore. But yes, update, I finished things and started other things. I've started Unleashed when I said I would. I think I'm about 53 pages in, and it feels like things are about to start. Like, I know who two of the love interests are, because it's a reverse harem on top of being a shifter romance. So I think I figured out, well, I basically figured out who two of them were, and then H confirmed it, right? I am taking longer than I expected to read it, but that's because, as you can tell by the asterisks, it's also a future podcast episode, so I'm also taking notes at the same time. Do I really need to be this detailed in the notes? No. But that's who I am, and we're gonna move on with our lives with that information. There's a lot of weird stuff happening. There's like some sickness that the main character, Ren, has, the way that I managed to remember her name. And it seems like there's like been ice caps melting, causing flooding, and by like, it's called the meltdown, right? And there were some like diseases trapped in the ice or something, and one of them is what she has. And I have theories about that. She has a sister who is presumed dead, who also had it. And there's like an experimental treatment that she's about to go in for. There's like a really high chance of death. Like, so far it's only been tested on children who have, for the most part, survived. It's like only a 5% chance of dying, right? If you're a child, you can get it. Teenagers, it's a 30%, and she's in like her like early to mid 20s, right? And she'll be like the oldest patient by date. So like, based off the exponential amount, like percentage between teenager and like child, prepubescent child, I'm thinking like there's like 2/3 of a chance that she could die. And there's like something with a weird raccoon holding up a note to her that says "Run, Ren" in red letter. Yeah. Also the raccoon has a weirdly human hand. I have thoughts about that. I'm not disliking it. It's fine. I'm intrigued by what the fudge is going on. The good news is that it's so weird at points that like it's just like, what the fuck? Especially with the raccoon thing. That like at this point I am enjoying it in like that sense, where like even if I don't end up having the greatest time, like I'll still be like, it was a wild ride and it was fun because of that, right? Also there's like I'm getting cultish vibes with this church called the Church of Humanity, which when you know that it's a shifter romance, therefore there's shifters, and she has like a weird vision thing about the past, about when she lived in what I assume is a shifter commune type thing. I mean, all of them being hunted down. The name is a little suspicious, and you know, it's kind of culty vibes already before that stuff. Yeah. So that's the update for that book. But also, yesterday I read all of Break by Hannah Moskowitz. I finally figured out the author's name. I read all of it, so I can tell you what it's actually about, which is Jonah, and his life, and how his need to be in control, and feel like he has to be the one to do everything, and be the one to hold the family up, has led to him breaking his bones on purpose, right? So he has a younger brother, Jesse, who's like only a year younger, but he is hyper allergic to like everything, like including milk, eggs. Like if he touches milk, he flares up, and like stops breathing, all this stuff. They spend a lot of time in the hospital because of it. But the issue is that their parents, who fight like all the time, and like are really mean to each other, instead of deciding to get a divorce, they decide to have another baby who is 8.5 months old, which with a baby there is milk. And yeah, so it's really bad for Jesse. Basically he's always like really sick. Like he's usually broken up in hives. He's taking like Benadryl all the time. At one point their mom just forgets and leaves a boiling thing of milk on the oven. I think she like turned it off or something like that. But like even the particles in the air, like from the steam and whatnot, causes Jesse to go in a full-blown attack. And it's pretty bad. Like it very much is giving me that the mother, like from Jonah's point of view, the mother is more attentive towards Will, the baby, than Jesse, because she just forgets that she has another kid. She's so attentive on this baby. And Jonah is very much in the mind view that like Jesse comes first, that type of thing, right? And there's like this whole thing where they have an unspoken pact where the mother takes care of the dad and he takes care of Jesse. And now there's a baby in the mix and it makes things even harder. Also, the baby just never stops crying. That's also a thing, right? So, and his need to gain control of life. And also this theory that like if you break your bone, it grows back stronger, and he needs to be stronger for his family, right? He starts trying to break every bone in his body periodically. As you can imagine, when he starts coming to school with like busted up face and like multiple broken fingers and toes and wrists and like arms and stuff, people start believing that there's abuse. And then finally, some people recognize, well, his best friend knows that he's doing it and helps him out with it, right? And then he has this kind of girlfriend who, like, they haven't labeled it, but like everyone's like, you're just dating, shut up, stupid teenagers, like, recognizes that he's doing it to himself. So she goes to the principal so that they can get him some help, which is like the smart thing to do. It is shitty. He recognizes she did do the smart thing, but it is shitty that she didn't, like, she wasn't there when he was taken away or anything. She just tried to avoid him. I was like, oh, I don't think we should be together because you're gonna be gone so long. He's like, I'm gonna be gone for a week, when he goes into a shelter or an institute. I don't know. So like the way she does that is kind of shitty, right? But she does the right thing. And Naomi, it's like brought up that Jonah has to be careful around what he says to everyone because he's afraid to piss off people. And like Naomi, at one point, he like brings up the fact that Charlotte, the kind of girlfriend, did the right thing. And Naomi's like, so I'm this shitty friend because I tried to protect, like, I tried to help you to make sure you didn't overtly hurt yourself and die, like, right? And he's like, yeah, but like also, because at one point, like halfway through the book, he does plan to stop. And then she's like, no, we're gonna continue. And she makes him contemplate continuing to do it, and then he does and breaks like all his toes. So like, yeah, it's this whole thing. That being said, I gave it 3 stars. And I have good reasoning why. One, it's a character-based book. We all know I'm not the biggest fan of character-based books. This is why H and I have difficulty finding books that we both enjoy, because I'm more of a plot-driven book type person, and H is more of a character book-driven person. So like, we generally have to try to find books that meet in the middle. But a lot of H's favorite books are character-driven. Therefore, it wasn't my favorite. I knew it wasn't gonna be like a 5-star. I was thinking maybe 3.5, and then the ending happened, and it was kind of like a let. I don't know what I wanted to happen, but it was so much of a letdown that I was like, what? That's the ending? Excuse me? Why? And then I was like, well, maybe if it was 100 pages longer and it could have gone more in depth into what happens after this stuff. Like, some stuff happens, and then some people are in the hospital, and then the book ends. That's it. That's it. You don't get to know what happens afterwards. People's theories. The side effects of a bunch of other stuff that has happened throughout the whole entire book. Like, and so I was like, maybe if it's 100 pages longer. And then I was like, no, I don't want it to be 100 pages longer, because I don't think I would have finished it if it was 100 pages longer, because I started to get bored around halfway through. So if it was another 100 pages longer, so like, instead of like being 260-ish pages, be 360. So if I had to read 200 more pages after that point, I wouldn't have had a good time. You know, I would have not finished it, because I would have just been like, so it's really a weird place. Though I do recognize how H, who has rated this book 5 stars, also is obsessed with Wicker King. I can see the correlation, especially when he was at the, what terminology did they even use in the book? I don't know. I guess it was a mental hospital technically. I don't know. The correlation between the two kind of became very obvious, how H likes both of them a lot. The thing is that, one, I liked the more character stuff in Wicker King more, and also it had a little bit of a plot going on in it, so I like that one more, right? This one was mostly character stuff, but I didn't actually like any of the character stuff. I wish I had gone further into some stuff, and done some things differently, and yeah. That's about it for that book. So yeah, I will probably update you whenever I finish Unleashed. This is low-key spoilers for like all the podcast stuff, but ignore that. And then when I start the other book that I'm also going to be taking notes on, because podcast. The good news is that I have the audiobook for that one, so I can like do it the way that I do with Carmela, where I just listen and then type at the same time, right? But yeah, that's it. I'll see you later. Hello, we're going to ignore how I look. In my defense, being in a power outage for 56 hours, therefore not having heat, dried out my skin like there's no tomorrow, so I just look like a hot mess. It's fine. Everything's fine. But yes, power outage. I'm gonna talk about it more in the next vlog, but that is why this is going up Wednesday, not Saturday. That's why I switched it with the read with me that I already had scheduled, because I did not have things we get over, or whatever, things we never get over. Is that the title of it? You know, the third book I'm gonna read for this vlog, right? That's why I moved it, because I didn't have that downloaded on my Kindle, stupidly. I do now, but also I have the audiobook and I wanted to dual read it so that I could take notes for the podcast for it at the same time, because like I found a summary of the plot online, so I don't have to deal with all the plot stuff. I can just take notes on my thoughts, right? So I can multitask, right? I haven't started that one yet, but the current plan is to maybe start it tonight, but most definitely have it read by the end of tomorrow, so that I can finish this vlog and read the last few books for the 5-book vlog. That will still be going up the normal time. It's just like, it's gonna be something different. But yeah, that's currently the plan. Now, because of the power outage, I had only a few books. I say only a few. I had a lot of books downloaded on my Kindle, but only a few that were already planned for this month, right? And one of them was Unleashed. Because it's also for the podcast, I was like taking extensive notes. Initially on my iPad, I switched it to physical in like a journal. I think I have like 9 pages of notes. It's fine. But I went heavily into plot stuff in that one as well. So, you know, that's a thing that's going to be a thing at some point. I think I have it written down somewhere, so I don't know where I put it. I think sometime next month. So, you know, have fun with that. Let's hope it's not 2 hours long. But basically, during the day when there was sun, so I could actually see, I would read that book and take notes on it. And then when the sun went down, I switched to a different book that is part of the other book, right? So I did finish it. Oddly enough, I was in the middle of the last chapter when the power came back. So like I took a break and then to do like a bunch of stuff on my computer and whatnot, to change things around and all that in case power did leave again. Then I would like know I had everything in place for that, and whatnot. And yeah, so and then I finished it, and I think I'm going to 3.5 stars. Okay, let me explain. So Ren is her name. Ren is a girl who basically the whole entire system of this world is basically they're shifters, and then basically humans have like some groups of humans view shifters as the mark of the devil and the devil's work on earth. And so if a shifter shifts, every time a shifter shifts, they become closer to the devil. And so they try to stop them by kidnapping their children and poisoning them. Listen, I could find so many allegories throughout this book, with this whole entire church doing this stuff and all that fun stuff, with gays, and conversion therapy, the way that, like, kidnapping people of color, Native Americans, Black children, all that stuff, and forcing them into education, so that they could be like more white. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. I got very heavy hints, and on top of that, there is also a Native character in the book. So yeah, and there's a bunch of stuff about I mean, there's not a bunch of stuff, but it's mentioned a few times, the politics of keeping a reservation and being able to do the work on the reservation that you have the laws for, and then the government taking it away because of one tiny thing, because they just decide they can, and stuff like that. That's a thing, and whatnot. So basically, Ren was one of these children, but she gets rescued by a group of shifters. One of them is Kite, the guy who is Native, who is a bear shifter. I know the cover has wolves on it, but there's only one wolf and he's barely in this. The other two books do have like the other animals on there, right? So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. Turns out there's like an evil being, and she is the only person who can defeat the evil being, the right type of shifter to do that, because the only reason he hasn't automatically killed her when she was a child and whatnot is because of the church kidnapping her and her sister when they were babies. There's like a weird memory thing that she had where like it's very obvious that they shot down a bunch of shifters that were just living their lives, and then kidnapped all the children and did all this too. So, you know, good times. So she learns like all this stuff. She's like trying to learn all this stuff about shifters and how her whole entire life so far has been a lie and all this stuff. And the whole entire reason why the evil being couldn't find her is because the drugs they have the kids on to make it so they can't shift, that eventually kills them. By the time they're like 20, but there's also like this evil doctor who does quote unquote treatments to cure the diseases, but it's like actually redesigning your DNA so you can't shift. That's a whole thing. Yeah. So because of the drugs, she was never able to shift, and because of that, the bad guy was never able to find her. So the shifters rescue her before she's taken to take this treatment thing, get the surgery thing, and she has to bond with 4 men, 4 different categories in the shifter world, which are basically a bear, a cat, something flying, I guess, and a wolf. And so basically just having them there and helping her out will give her bonds, and she can help, like, they help her out get stronger, all this stuff. But also, if she bangs one of them, the bond gets stronger. It becomes a mate bond, and then she gets their powers. Like, on top of having shifter powers, you also have other powers. Like, one of them can see the future. The one she bangs, because she does bang one, it has like this empathy thing where you can feel other people's emotions, and whatnot very strongly, right? Good times. There's one that can like make things invisible, I think, but also show things if needed. I don't know what the wolf says. What is the wolf character? Barely there. It's yeah. So basically, like, there's marks for who can be mates for this type of shifter. The bad guy is like a guy, so I was wondering if he could have mated with the boys and then done his evil thing with them, or if she could mate with a female and it would still work. You know, normal things. I was like questioning if it could be gay, you know, in this reverse harem poly book that sadly none of the men end up together. They just end up with her. Anyways, so there's these four men. There's Kite, who is the one who is native, and he's a bear. He's the one with empathy, right? They kind of low-key have a romance in the beginning of the book, like they kiss in the beginning. He basically was like undercover, keeping an eye on her and whatnot. And then ends up falling for her in the process. And so they kind of have a head start. The other guy who low-key has a head start, but not really, is Dust. God, I hate their two names are the worst, honestly. Dust is like her childhood best friend, who was taken by the church from England to be given to his adoptive parents. And then he learned about the shifting stuff, blah, 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 blah. And he's low-key always been in love with Ren this whole time. Turns out he's a griffin. It, like, mentioned it 3/4 of the way through the book. Like, it mentioned it earlier, but I was like, it never mentioned it. I think part of it was edited out, and so it was, like, never properly mentioned. And so I was, like, freaking out, like, he's a fucking griffin, but it's, like, just dropped. He's a griffin. He's the one that, can make things invisible, but also show things. And also, he is in head of the group, because by being a griffin, he's, like, from like heavy lineage. Like there's naturally born shifters, right? And then there's also I'm trying to explain this makes no sense. There's naturally born shifters, but shifters can also be created, like the typical like werewolf bite type thing, but also like in a lab. And while I think all the boys are naturally born shifters, and so is she, I know that for a fact. They are still being hunted down by the kinborn KB, who are basically purists who believe, think like the Malfoys in Harry Potter, who think people who didn't start out as shifters are evil, and they just want kinborn, like they want the people who are natural born shifters, and they don't want anyone else. So anyone who helps out the other spectrum, they hunt them down and kill them, all this stuff. But there's also the church and the humans who are also trying to hunt them down, so they're being hunted down by two groups. Yay! Good times. Other characters. There's Luke the wolf. Apparently, it's very rare for the wolves to get the mate mark, and whatnot. So basically, the wolves managed to find one. Like Dust and the higher ups like brought up to the wolves like, hey, we need this one mate bonded person who's a wolf. So like, let us know if you find one. And so they kidnapped this guy and brought them to him. So he's not happy about this. He was straight up just kidnapped off the street by his own people and taken there because he has the mark, and it's like so rare. And she like lets him go as soon as she figures it out. She's like, it's very much of her like being high and mighty and be like, hey, I don't want to kill people, I don't want to hurt people, all this stuff, blah 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 blah. And everyone be like, hey, you have to try to defeat an ancient being. You may have to kill him. And she's being like, I mean, yes, but I would like to do any other option first. It is very much heavy on the whole love instead of war message, which is a little weird, but whatever. It gets a little heavy on at points and whatnot, which is why it's 3.5, not 4. Because it would take me out of the story every time she go on an internal monologue about how love is more important and violence really brings more violence. And I'm like, yes, true, but like, do I need to read 5 pages of you going on an internal monologue like 5 different times in this book about this? No. So Luke is not happy. He originally didn't plan to stay with the group, but he stays to not like mate with her, but to help her out. Of course, instantly the other guy also falls in love with her, and Dustin and Kite are in love with her. So like, yeah. And so she has to figure out this whole entire thing. Also, she is recognized by the end of the book that she's kind of into all of them, so like, might as well. Love that. Despite the fact that she really banged one of them, I'm so excited to continue the series. It will happen, because like, I need more of the fourth boy, of the 4 boys. Shifter boys, I don't know. It like, like the Bat Boys, but the shifters, right? The fourth one is Credence, my favorite. I love Credence. I think at least half of my highlights from the book are just Credence sections, because like Credence is the best. Okay, he's like, you would think I'd be into Luke or Dust because they're like the bad boys, dark and brooding, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, meh. Dust, I can kind of get it, but like I'm generally not like the childhood crush turned into lover type person for romance books. And then Luke's not even really a character in this book, and Kite's very boring most of the time. So I don't care about Kite or Luke that much. I low-key wanted her best friend to just become one of the mates. Her female best friend. I was like, you know what? It'd be funny if Kite and Dust became a couple, and then they just brought in this other. I know it's gonna happen, but I can dream a dream. But Credence is, I mean, he's got a dark past. He's dark and brooding too, but he's very much on the path where he's like the comedy relief. He's also a cat. He's a lynx. But he's the comedy relief in the way where from his 2 chapters in his point of view, so little I got from his point of view. And poor Credence. But basically he finds that his way of showing people that he cares and whatnot is by helping through hard times by making them laugh and loosening the mood and stuff. So he's very much a comic relief because of that. But that's like him being the comic relief to help out the main character. It's not like ever too much in my point of, like, it was just a good time. I had a good time. Okay, I laughed a lot. There was a whole thing about mold, and yeah, it was good. I loved him. I am a Credence girl. And yeah. Also, he just constantly flirts with Red, and then at one point he just makes out with her. That was a fun time. Anyways, yeah, a bunch of stuff happens, blah, blah, blah. They're on the run, blah, blah, blah. She has to train to fight the evil bad, blah, 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 but she also has to mate with these 3 other guys to get stronger, blah, 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 if Luke's into it. But, like, he has shown to be more caring for her over time, and all this stuff. Was it him or was it Credence after she first set something on fire accidentally, where they're like, we should get some marshmallows? I don't know why I just remembered that. But yeah, she's gotta mate with these other guys to get even stronger and gain their powers, but also learn how to control Kite's powers, but also Hi Puppy, like, figure out if she loves any of them. Well, she is confirmed in love with Kite, but whether or not she's in love with the other ones and how this whole thing will work, and like not make jealousy in the group, because that would be bad, and stuff like that. I feel like that's gonna be the rest of the series. And yes, it was a wild ride and exactly what I wanted from it. It was a little heavy-handed on a few things, but like the allegory for like a lot of stuff in there, especially with the like Church of Humanity and the human side, the way that they treat these shifters. Yeah, I was just sitting there just like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing today. Cool. Also, you can totally see, I mean, the author's pen name is Bella Jacobs. I mean, come on. But it's very obvious to see the Twilight connections. I mean, there's one point where she climbs onto Kite's back and he goes running through the woods with her on his back. I'm surprised that he didn't say climb on a spider monkey. Like, but yeah. That's what I think. I liked it. 3.5 stars. I talked way too long about it. Let's see if I cut any of it out. I will be continuing the series. I mean, it's still in the TBR jar, so I can pull it out and continue the series that way. But I may just continue it on my own. It's like, I had a good time. I get why H liked it. I get it. I don't remember why H rated it. But yes. Things We Never Got Over is the next one. I already talked about my plans for that one. So I will update you either late tomorrow or early Tuesday with my thoughts in general on that book. And then overall thoughts about this. And then, yeah, close it off. So, that's that. I'm gonna go play video games now. Hello. I just finished Things We Never Got Over. And I finally remember the name of that book. And I did, right when I went to finish it, get a message from H saying this is a reminder not to read Knox's epilogue with the typical Taylor Swift holding gun meme that she sends me. Love that. But yes, I can actually tell you what this book is about. Oh my god. So Naomi, after running out of her own wedding, gets a call from her twin sister Tina that she needs help, so she plans to meet her at this location, at this coffee place. Naomi is obsessed with coffee, so she gets coffee all there, and she sees a kind of like mugshot of her twin sister there, being like, don't serve this person. Tina's like the typical evil twin type situation, and she called Naomi there to trick her, so that she could steal all her money and stuff, and car and everything, and leave town for some kind of job. She does a lot of legal stuff, including robberies and breaking and entering and stuff, but also left her 11-year-old daughter that no one else in the family knew about with Naomi, and as she's going to like check on whether or not her sister's there, so while her car's being stolen from her, Knox, the love interest, comes in and starts like berating her, and it's like thinks that she's Tina, basically. Says a bunch of very rude things to her, and she's like, yeah, I get that my sister's not the best, but seriously. And then eventually he does help her out, recognizes that he's not wearing his contacts, so he didn't notice the differences between the two, right? And so he takes, when he notices, like when she notices the car's missing and whatnot, takes her to the police, and then takes her to her hotel for her, in which she finds her not known about before niece, Waylay, and that it's broken into and all her stuff is stolen except for her wedding dress. And so he basically is like, okay, this is all the stuff you can do. Here's the police. Here's a cottage you can stay at, which is his grandmother's side property, I guess, technically. And helps her get a job. Well, no, someone else helps her get a job, which is at the place that he owns. So he also, because he won the lottery like a few years prior, so like he's super rich. He owns like a bunch of businesses in town, and so he uses it to give the library an anonymous grant. She never even learns that he did this. So that with that grant, they are able to hire Naomi part-time as well. So she was working part-time there and at the bar that he owns, and is taking care of Waylay, her niece. And it's very like found family cuteness. It starts enemies to lovers. I really did not like Knox in the beginning. I really did not. Though the narrator of the audiobook I did recognize from a different audiobook, and so I was like, wait a second, what? For a minute there. But yeah, no, I didn't really like it. And then when they do start banging, it turns into fake dating. And then it very much turns into him eventually breaking up with her because he doesn't think that he's good enough for her. And she recognizes that's why he did it. And whatnot. And she's like, you're a big dum-dum. Everyone tells he's a big dum-dum. She is in love with him. You know, from his point of view that he's in love with her, but he won't admit it to himself. Blah, 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 blah. A bunch of stuff happens at the end. Where some people almost get shot. And so there's a bunch of stuff with that. And then in seeing this happening, he's like, oh my god, I can't lose her again. And they end up together happily ever after. Did I read the second epilogue? You will never know. Because if I did, and H knows, my dog gets kidnapped. So you will never know if I read it or not. Yeah, it was good. I mean, the writing style wasn't world-renowned, but I did like the characters. Like, even Knox's character grew on me. I mean, I didn't love him, but like, I didn't hate him as much as I did in the beginning. He was fine. A lot of the side characters I liked. I liked Waylon and Naomi's like kind of relationship. And the found family stuff I liked. And Nash, Knox's brother, I liked him, which I like could tell that there were the 3 books in the series. I assumed it was a trilogy, and I knew it was the first in the series. And I assumed the other 2 would be about the trio from childhood, where it was like Knox, his brother Nash, and their best friend Lucian, something like that. And I think I know who his is gonna end up with. And I just did see, like, look at the synopsis of the second one to see who Nash ends up with, which is interesting. And yeah, I mean, like, what else can I say? The characters were fine. I liked some of them. The writing wasn't, like, great, but it was fun. The plot was fun, especially the end. The end. Chaotic. I can see, listen, here's the thing. This is why I like it. This is why it's a 3.5 and not a 3. Which is, I can see how this could work, right? Like, despite the fact that he's never been in a serious relationship before and tries to push her away to protect her from him type thing going on, right? I really, like, it obviously makes sense being as Naomi's character, the way that she's lived her whole life is doing everything for everyone else, never for herself, having to be the perfect sister or daughter or partner or whatever. And the way that he shows love and affection, his love language is doing things for the person you care for, right? So he's basically taking care of her, making sure to, like, she has her coffee, getting her coffee. I mean, all the stuff in the beginning before they're even like each other. And then, like, he randomly gets her coffee sometimes, and all this stuff. Which, like, she loves coffee. Making it so that she can get the job at the library that she really wanted. All this stuff. Helping her out. Helping her out with the legal guardian stuff. That was also a thing. They had a lot of stuff about her being the legal guardian of Waylay and how that would work. And how she, like, how it's, like, on a basis of, like, having to have a person come in to check in and make sure that she's a healthy, stable person for her to take care of her niece, and her trying to figure out if she wants to take her in for good after everything's up, and how that would go, and all that fun stuff. And so he helps her out with that, and, you know, it's very nice, because, like, he helps her realize that she needs to take care of herself sometimes, and her emotions matter in all those ways, and he takes care of her because that's his love language, which is what she needs in her life in romantic pairings. And, you know, I can see how it'll work. That being said, it was obscenely long, and I don't understand why. Like, I'm pretty sure half of the barbecue scenes could have been cut out. We don't need that many barbecues, okay? Also, the whole entire scene where they went to the charity thing didn't even cut out. I understand that was, like, when we met his father, but, like, we could have known that his father was a drug addict without, and left them as kids, without having to see that scene. Like, that wasn't necessary. It was just there. Also, all the mall shopping scenes. So, you know, that's why it's not a 4-star. But I did really like it, so 3.5. I'm trying to think. I mean, I liked all of them more, obviously, because I rated all of them 3 stars or higher. Didn't I rate Unleashed 3.5 as well? But yeah, that's that. I had a good time. As per usual, H knows what she's talking about, recommending me books. Okay, I did like the comedy in this book. One of the main things H said when was being told to read this book was that the comedy was very me. And, you know, it wasn't a wrong statement. There was a point where there was a break-in at the cottage where they were living, and he told her to go to where her parents were and wake them up so they could stay with her and all this stuff. And she's like, it's the middle of the night. And he's like, I don't care if it's in the middle of their colonoscopy. Get over there. And I cackled. That is not the only time I cackled. It was a good time. Okay, I liked it. I'm still not sure about Break. What was that? I mean, that was the one that I expected to be. What was that? And I'm not sure if I liked it or not. Still, And then Unleashed was surprisingly good. I need to continue that series, because what the actual what? And then this one was good. Other things to tell you about, Saturday is your typical reading vlog day. So the next video will be the 5-book vlog. That is not going to be purple because power outage. Link below is my link tree that has all the stuff, including the first link there is the podcast, which is important because 2 of the books mentioned in this vlog are going to be in that, right? At some point. And it's now on Apple Podcasts. So like there's, if you click the drop down thing, there's like all the options. There's only 2. But like if you want some results, let me know and I'll see what I can do. And that's about that. I don't think I have anything else to say. So until the next video.